Hi folks, I'm standing here in front of a new little project I've picked up. It's a 100-year-old lawnmower made in 1922. Let's have a look at it. Right, well here it is. It's a 1922 Atco Standard 22-inch mower, this one, and in its day this was the cream of the crop. It weighs 250 pounds, which is about 115 kilograms, and God knows how they used to move these things about back then. Let's have a closer look at it. I bought it as a non-runner. It's got a few things needs doing to it. The bloke had it and he'd done some restoration to it, but he could not for the life of him get a spark. Hence we can see that the actual ignition flywheel module is actually missing. I've got that inside. We'll have a look at it in a minute. We'll give that a check out. But he's done some of the work. He's had new wooden rollers on it. I think he's had the blade sorted out as well. Whether or not he's just painted it, what I don't know. But we'll have a little look over it now. I don't like the green the grass box is painted in. It has been painted obviously in the past. But let's have a little look around it first and see what it's all about. So here's the engine. It's a Villiers 2-stroke engine, this one, and it's got a little solid, it's either a solid brass carburettor on this. Very simple design. I think the top's come off there. I think it just needs screwing where it needs adjusting there. Look, as you can see, the little nodules come out the top of the carb there, which probably screws in. Forgive me hand, folks, I've got a blinking painful joint in my thumb joint, so that's all that is. So yeah, all the chains are there. It's a 22-inch cylinder on it, and he has had new wooden rollers put on. As you can see, they are in pretty good condition there as well, although they're a bit dirty and all that now. It looks like it has been painted. Someone's gone over all these with gold paint, which I don't really like. I don't think the original had that, but as you can see, it's an Atco. It comes with this little box here, which you have a selection of spanners in, and also the crank handle, which goes in the end there to turn the thing over. And one thing I was always told, I think Malcolm Lincoln told me this actually, when he starts his lister, don't start it with your thumb underneath like that. Start it with your hand on top in case it kicks back. So that's a little bit of information there. So this does turn over, and it's got very good compression with it. And if we go around the other side, back in the day, or in the 1920s, health and safety wasn't really an issue because you've got a great big metal blade there, which you can easily put your finger on. There's no guard over that whatsoever. Look at that, absolutely amazing, isn't it? So this is the clutch mechanism, which is operated by this lever up here, and that takes the or engages the drive mechanism. As you can see, the clutch is pulling in and out there, so that obviously does work. Two chains there, one chain there, and obviously one down for the rear roller as well. And the grass box is not in too bad a condition. It's got a few dents on it, but someone's painted it a really horrible bright green, so maybe I can tap them out. I'm not too sure. I will strip all this off. If it was original, I probably would have left it, but seeing as someone's tried to restore it, then it looks a bit gaudy, to be honest with you. Although I'm under the impression that green and red was the original colours of this anyway, so we'll try and look for the original paint and find out whether or not we can reproduce the original colour. As I say, it is a 2-stroke. I mean, look, things like this, for example, look, I don't know whether or not that valve's original there. It seems to be very close to the top fins of the cylinder head there. It does have a decompression valve on it, which you can see there, which someone's... What's he doing? What are you doing, Merlin? What are you doing? Which someone's just attached a bit of wire on. I think that this bit's correct, but this wire obviously doesn't look right. It's been bodged up basically, and that's the decompression valve actually working. So it is actually working, but it just doesn't look right. And that obviously is a modern reproduction plug. I may try and source the original plug for that as well. So you have to mix your own fuel with these. I think it's normally 16:1, a 2-stroke fuel, but I've heard people say that you can get away with modern type 2-stroke oils. On this, it's a 25:1 mix. You can use that, and that works absolutely fine on that. So as I say, it's got a big... What are you doing? Get out of there. Put that down. Leave that at least trying to pick that, whatever that is. Look. Leave it alone. Go away. Go on. Away. Better put that back in there and shut that box up before he tries to run off with something. Look. He's into everything, Merlin is. There we go. So that's that. So the throttle control is obviously just one single cable there. And that is up and raised and lowered with that. There's the exhaust system there, which is a bit rattly there. That goes into the front of the engine, as you can see up there. So that's not too bad. And all cast iron, no aluminium heads on this thing, for example. It looks like the barrel and the head, are they separate? I'm not too sure. They may or may not be separate, I don't know. It might be one sleeve, I'm not too sure. But we'll find that out. But one thing to note as well, that the actual piston in this is actually made of cast iron. It's a big old heavy piston in there as well. So, but that's looking around. Everything else seems to be there. It was made by Chas & Pew Limited, Birmingham, England. So I don't know the original colours of these yet, as I say, because I'm going to strip all this down. This will all be sort of stripped back and powder coated in as near a damn it original colour as we can find it. But yeah, so that's it. That's the Atco Standard 22-inch roller mower, which was 100-year-old sitting there. Unbelievable. So as I say, the chap I bought it off, he tried everything, he said, to get it started, and it had no spark and he couldn't do it. So he just sort of, he was moving house anyway, so he decided to pass it on. I took up the challenge, so let's go inside. We've got the ignition flywheel inside with the points and the condenser unit inside and the coils and whatever. So let's do a little bench test on that and see if we can find out why it's got no spark. Right, so I've already done some disassembly at the moment. I've taken out the screws that hold this unit down. This is the contact breaker points there. As you can probably see, that's only one half of them there, where that opens and closes. The other half is screwed down in that sort of orientation like that, and as you can see, that's the other half of the points there, which is they've been cleaned obviously. So but I've removed that off of there like that. They've got insulators in between, as you can see. So let's put that down to one side, and that was obviously covered with that chrome lid there, so I've taken that off as well. And I've actually had to unbolt this unit here because I wanted to check the condenser as well. And the condenser on these lives underneath, if I just pull that clip out of the way, under there, as you can see, that's the condenser there, which sits directly underneath there like that. And that has to come out. And that's just got one cable which is coming off of it. The ground, the case acts as the ground, and obviously that's where the capacitor charge goes onto the points there. So I've not disconnected that one, although it's loose in there. That needs to be unsoldered because it won't fit through the hole there, so I've just had to leave that where it was. So there was no markings on this, so I wasn't sure of the capacitance of this. But what I did do was I went out and bought another one. So I've got a brand new one. As you can see, this one is an actual Villiers one. And so I was able to measure the capacitance of this, and here I've got a capacitor meter. This one is a Honeytech A6013L. This literally just does capacitance. A lot of multimeters now, like you see here, have got the facility to do that, but this one obviously is just for capacitance. So if you connect the negative up to the chassis, some of these are polarized, by the way, which means that basically you've got to connect them up a certain way, but this one doesn't appear to be polarized. And then connect up the positive. So we're looking at a reading of 0.29 there on the microfarad scale. So that is a known good one. So if I connect this one up now in exactly the same way, and just have that, where is it, that grey cable, make sure that's not touching down to earth anywhere. Connect this up the same. That again has given virtually the same reading. So I'm pretty sure that this condenser or capacitor is within tolerance, even though there's no markings on there telling you which one it is. So we can leave that capacitor in situ, otherwise I've got to unsolder that lug there, which I don't really want to do. So the next thing to check in this system here is the actual coil itself. Now this coil has got two windings in there. You've got a primary coil and a secondary coil. And again, pretty simple to test the coils. The primary coil is the coil, that cable that comes down and goes to your points. That's the one with the big thick windings inside it. You'll see there's normally a big thick windings inside these coils, and then there's hundreds and thousands of little tiny windings. That's normally the secondary coil. So we can check that coil because they both earth down to chassis. And the way I'm going to do that is to put my normal multimeter on the ohms range. I'm putting it on 20 kiloohms just to give us a starting point, because I don't know what the resistance of this coil is supposed to be, but we should have some sort of resistance there. So if I hold that on to the orange cable, or even there, that'll be better because it's going directly onto the end of the coil. So there, and short down to earth, or even down to the end there. Look, that's where the actual negative coil picks up, so we're not actually getting anything there. Just short the meter out just to make sure that we are working. Yet we're shorting out there fine. So that coil to that earthing point there, or the grounding point, it's reading open circuit. So we've got a problem on the primary windings by the look of it. Let's just check the secondary windings. I'll just turn that round, and the secondary windings, as you can probably see down here, is another little spout sticking out. So if I touch that one there and then touch that down to earth, there we go. 3.79 is our reading, so we're definitely getting a good reading there. That's probably within range, to be honest with you. It's normally the secondary coils, the ones with the finer wires, that actually go first or give a problem. So there we go. There's our issue. That's fine, but our primary circuit down to earth is showing us nothing. So I need a new coil. There's nothing else I can do there. And let's just show you, that just makes a contact via this high tension lead there, as you can see on the back there, and it's literally just touching there. So I mean, we could have had a problem. Well, one way to check if we got a problem there, so we can check our HT lead's okay by just touching that down. As you can see, we've got a reading there, so that's no problem there. We know the HT lead is actually fine. Right, so there's not much more I can do with this unit now, apart from order a replacement coil, which I'm going to do anyway. So I can also show you the flywheel. Let's move these meters out of the way now. So once we put them points back in, we put the new coil back in, we set the points, that condenser goes back underneath there, tucked out of the way. And as I say, to do this, you can't actually do this on the mower, because you've got to take this off of the shaft, which is there, so you can gain access to undo the screws at the back there, obviously. And once you've fitted all this back on, your points are in there like that, the cap goes on, the lid goes on there. Let's just tuck that in for the minute, look. So that will go on there like that, once your points are all back in. That arm comes over there, like that, and holds that on. And then you've got this little lobe here, which just moves backwards and forwards and opens and closes the points when the cam comes round, when the engine turns round, and the little lobe opens the points up. And that's the, which then induces the spark into the HT lead. So the reason why this chap wasn't getting any spark was because the primary circuit looks like that it's open circuited. So that's the base plate. You've then got the big flywheel, which then goes on the top here. Now what he also told me he done, he's had the magnets, which are here, re-energized. So they are very good magnets. Now they're very, very strong now, so I'll show you. Let me just show you. There we go. Look. So they've been re-energized. He thought that was the problem initially, but obviously that is not the problem, because he's had them done. So that's another thing to consider when if you can't find a problem elsewhere. It could be your magnets are not strong enough, or they've been de-energized to give you the magnetic induction you need to induce the voltage into that coil. So that's another thing you might want to look at as well. So that will go, that's nice, that's solid brass, that, look at that, look. So that will then go on there, and there's the cam on that lobe when it's turning the engine around. It's a slight, I don't know if you can see that, it's a slight bump there, and that bump is what hits that there and opens the points up. So that is where your cam for your points to open and shut, just there. So that will then go onto there like that, onto the shaft. You then tighten your nut up. Now they don't give you a tightness for that, believe it or not. There's no torque setting for that. You've just got to do it very tight. And you may want to see that little arrow there. When you come to set this up, you've got to actually set the crankshaft up till it's facing top dead centre. Actually top dead centre, because the points normally open, I think there is an amount of degrees before top dead centre on this. I can't think what it is now. They measure it in, or 30 seconds of an inch, whatever it was. So, but you have to set the you have to put something in the piston hole. Make sure that the piston is at the top of the stroke, and this arrow here needs to point at 12 o'clock. And then that is it, that's your timing setup. And then you then tighten this nut up very, very tight, keeping everything in that position. That should be the timing setup. So that's how you set the timing on one of these things. But as I say, we can't actually put this back on until I've ordered the new coil, which I'm in the process of doing after I've done this video. And then in the next video, hopefully we can get this thing running. And one other thing I forgot to mention was that you can still buy these covers. This is the aluminium cover that literally clips over everything once the flywheel's on there. So once that's on there, some people just have this just rotating on its own. But they do make a cover, and as you can see, it's got the Villiers logo on that as well. And that literally would sit on top there, and there's clips around the side here. I don't know if you can see them. Look, see them little clips there? Look, they just clip that on and hold that on in place. And that was it. But this weighs an absolute ton, this does. So that's it. That's the Villiers flywheel and ignition setup. It's not too difficult. It's pretty much simple, but we needed to find out what component had failed, and it looks like the primary circuit on the coil has failed. So that's it, folks. We can't do no more until we get that part. So keep tuned if you want to see this thing running. I certainly do. I want to see what noise it makes. Go on, off you go, dogs. Off you go. So thanks very much, folks. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and ring that notification bell down there and set your preferences to all. That way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. And don't forget, if you are interested in lawnmower restoration, lawnmower repairs and stuff like that, I've put a playlist up there and also below the video as well, where you can see the playlist of all my lawnmower videos I've got on there, plus loads of other stuff as well. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye for now.